Ready for a new galactic adventure? Fasten your seatbelts and let's go! Kids Planet, the best place in outer space. My name's Nova, and I'm ready to have fun. Are you? Today we'll have an adventurous journey where we'll discover two of the greatest values that children and all people can have. Peace and harmony. Ready? Start the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Blast off! I'm sure everyone has heard the word peace before, right? I knew it! In fact, I'm sure you've probably heard the word peace next to the word harmony. Peace and harmony! So that we can understand these two values, why don't we make a cake with some of the ingredients that make up peace and harmony? Just like my Aunt Orbit does. To do that, we're going to need a friend's help. No, not the oven. I'm talking about Curious, our friend who knows everything. Ask him, what is peace and harmony? We are talking about a set of values, attitudes, and behaviors that reject violence and conflict. Gosh, those last two words really make you shiver. These positive values are like comets that travel in space. When everything is peaceful, they travel peacefully. But when peace is lost to anger and violent behavior, boom! The peace cake goes up in smoke. And it is up to us to make sure that the peace cake stays peaceful. Have you ever heard the expression, they fight like cats and dogs? This is because people think kittens and puppies don't like each other. And only because of this idea, we think they can't live in peace. Of course, this is not the case with Comet and Astro, remember? They get along very well. And if they can live peacefully, we can too, right? Of course we can! Peace. So what are the ingredients we need to make peace and harmony? Because I'm ready to make our cake. All right, let's start. Our first ingredient is communication. We'll need a lot of this ingredient to bake the cake. Have I ever told you that my brother Neutron and I are very different? He reads a lot of very long books and almost always listens to loud rock and roll music. Apple pie is his favorite breakfast. Yes, his favorite breakfast. He's one of a kind, my brother. I like cereal with milk instead. Can I tell you something? In our house, that has put the existence of the peace cake at risk. And we don't want that. That's why we came to an agreement. We talked it over and agreed that we could take turns with different choices during the week. And now we're all set. We respect this agreement, and by communicating about it a lot, we have peace and harmony. And it's really important to remember that just talking isn't going to solve problems. We also need to listen to the other person. Because if we don't listen, we'll just be two people talking about our own ideas without ever really understanding what the other person wants. The key to effective communication together is listening. All right, now we know that communication is the first ingredient of our wonderful cake. Ready for the second ingredient? The second ingredient is respect. As I said before, Neutron is always listening to rock and roll. We all want to listen to music we like, so we take turns listening to our favorite tunes. To maintain peace, we respect everyone's turn to listen to their music. And although his music is very different from what I like, I never make fun of him or criticize him for having different opinions. I used the second ingredient of our cake, respect. And guess what? I actually discovered that there's a rock and roll song that I like. It's one of Neutron's favorites, and now it's one of my favorites too. By respecting the other person, we really help to keep the peace and maintain harmony. Okay, so we have communication and respect. Now let's add our third key ingredient, compromise. Compromise means meeting someone in the middle of what they and you want. And it is another part of the cake's important ingredients. By doing this, we can talk about our differences and respectfully give the other person something in exchange for receiving something in return. That is compromising. For my brother's rock music, we agreed by each making a compromise. I accept that he plays his rock and roll if he turns down the volume, and he accepted to lower the volume out of respect for my wishes. Now that's a compromise. Although we don't have many things in common, we respect each other's things or tastes, regardless of our differences, and we give a bit and compromise to allow harmony to guide our relationships, and so we are still the most united family. Although he sometimes watches very complicated scientific programs on television at full volume, he will turn it down if asked to. So with respect and reaching a compromise, we can achieve peace in our house. But wait a moment. We are not finished yet. There's an ingredient missing. Want to know what it is? Frosting! Haha, we've got to have some frosting on top, right? Okay, so we have our mix ready. We take it to the oven, and that's it. We have a delicious peace cake. Now it's time to share our cake with our family, friends, and even with people we don't know, too. How do we do that? Communicating with others, respecting their opinions and ideas, and being understanding of others. With peace comes harmony, which means everyone is getting along and is happy. And that's the cherry on top of the cake. Yum! You can share the recipe for peace that we learned today using communication, respect, and compromise as our 3 very important ingredients for peace and harmony on planet Earth. Woohoo! All right. This first part of our adventure has been a lot of fun, and we've learned a lot about how to create peace and harmony. But the adventure doesn't stop here, space explorers. When we come back, we'll learn how to choose the right behavior when we feel ourselves getting angry, and how to respond without being violent. And along the way, we will also discover a very important quality, kindness. But before we leave, I've got something for you. A Nova quiz. Pay close attention. What is the loudest land animal? See if you can think of the answer. We'll be right back with more on Kids Planet. Here we are again, in the best place in outer space. Kids Planet! Ready? Did you think of the answer to our Nova quiz? Let's remember what the question was. What is the loudest land animal? Here's a hint. It's a monkey, and its name even sounds loud. Give up? It's the howler monkey. The howler monkey is the loudest land animal. You can hear it more than 3 miles away. Imagine how loud it can howl. Sometimes when we get mad, we are all heard from miles away. It's okay to get mad sometimes. It happens to everyone, and it's a natural feeling. The key is to learn how to control it and express our feelings in an appropriate way, and that's not always easy. So fasten your seatbelts because we're off on another learning adventure. Sometimes at school, not everyone agrees to do the same science project. Or sometimes we want to feed the class pet, but someone else already did it. These situations can make us angry, but it's also our choice how we're going to react, right? And we can choose not to use violence. We can give up violence. Are you ready to learn how to do it? Well, I don't have the slightest idea, but I do know who can help us. Our friend who knows everything, Curious. So let's ask him. How can we give up violence? The first thing to do is to understand what it really means to hurt another person. And how do we do this? By using that tool that Mom and Dad always tell us. We have to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. Now let's play a game. Let's all put our hand on our heart. Do you feel your heartbeat? Our bad temper works like a balloon, and there are situations that cause us to feel like we could explode, puffing up so much, just like a balloon when it is about to pop. That's when human beings turn violent. You wonder how your balloon gets bigger and bigger until it explodes? At school, there are classmates who don't share their toys, and when another child uses one of their toys, they get upset, and it's like their balloon begins to blow up so much it almost pops. Boom! Sometimes at that moment, violence raises its ugly head. It can be screaming, pushing, hitting, and fighting. All are harmful and not good. But not everything is lost. Within us, we have a superpower that prevents the balloon from blowing up and up until it pops. And that superpower is called patience. With this superpower, we can defeat violence. By using patience, we let all the air out of our balloon, which stops it from exploding. Then, we have the chance to resolve our conflicts in a calm and respectful way. Applause, please. And we do that with the adult's favorite phrase. Treat others as you like being treated. It's amazing what we can learn from our friends, huh? Respect and patience lead to everyone being able to live in peace and harmony. Our teacher, Miss Starr, explained that giving up violence is a choice. And it's up to us to stay away from it, no matter how hard that might be. We know that to reject violence and to create peace, respect and patience are very important. And it's a choice we all can make. We have that power in our hearts and minds. Let's spread this peace feeling. My Aunt Orbit says that when we are in peace, we discover great treasures. One of those treasures is called kindness and has more value than a chest full of gold. But to understand it better, let's call our friend Curious. He knows everything. Why don't we ask him? What does it really mean to be kind? A kind person is a person who does good things for others with affection and love. Here are some great ways we can be kind. Help with household chores. Neutron and I always help Mom and Dad with the household chores, and although we can't do all the chores that our parents can do, we work together and get the job done. What can we do to help? Every time my mom cooks, I help her wash the dishes and silverware. And most importantly, I always give food and water to Comet and Astro. All right, next point. Help your teacher and classmates. Ms. Starr always asks for help in class, and I love to help her. When she needs me to write on the board, or when she asks us to help a classmate with his or her science project. Sometimes my classmates forget their materials for the laboratory, so I share mine. That way, we can all take part in the experiments. I always share my things with my classmates, without expecting anything in return. Let's see, who's ready for the next point? Practice your good manners. Kind children smile and are polite to everyone around them. They say hello, please, and thank you. Open the door for other people so they can go first. Wait for others to be seated before starting to eat. All are things that show your good manners. Like opening a door for another person or helping our teacher collect the homework. This makes someone else happy rather than grumpy, so they are more likely to be kind to someone else. That's how we'll be helping to build a much happier world. And a very, very important point, help those who need it most. Share your food with someone who doesn't have any. Tell Mom and Dad to bring clothes and toys that you don't use to children who really need to use them. By doing so, you will be helping to build a happier world and you will become a kind child. When my friends forget their snacks, I like to share mine with them so we can all enjoy the sandwiches that my mom makes for me every day. Let's go over our planet list. Help with household chores. Help your teacher and classmates. Practice your good manners. Help those who need it most. Well, we've learned a lot in this part of Kids Planet. We learned how to choose not to use violence when we get mad. There are better solutions. And we learned how to be kind kids. When we come back, we'll discover self-control. Self what? Yes, self-control. And we'll learn more about how to control our anger. But before we go, how about another Nova quiz? Pay close attention. How is ice cream made? See if you can think of the answer. We'll be right back with more Kids Planet! We're back! Let's continue our incredible adventure on Kids Planet! Are you ready? Because it's time to reveal the answer to our Nova quiz. So let's remember the question. How is ice cream made? Ice cream is a mixture of cream, or sometimes milk, sugar, and sometimes eggs, that is frozen while being stirred for a long time in really cold temperatures. Wow! That's amazing! Ice cream is one of my favorite treats on the planet. On any planet. Every time my mom takes me to the ice cream shop, I want to try all the flavors. Yum! But I control myself. It's called self-control. Let's ask Curious for help in understanding what this means. Curious, what is self-control? Self-control is the ability to make good choices and have good behavior, even when it's really hard to do that. Self-control can be used when we want something really badly, or when we feel super excited, or when we feel super angry. It is helpful in all kinds of situations. Have you ever seen an angry person? They look very strange. They almost look like monsters. When people are angry, they don't act calmly, and sometimes this causes them to make bad choices. If we use self-control, we can control ourselves and make smart choices so that we help our anger go away and replace it with love again. And like I said, self-control is also important when we want something really badly. Like when I go to the ice cream shop with my mom. Although I want to eat and eat lots of ice cream, I have to control myself because eating a lot can make my tummy hurt. And I also use self-control to not get mad when my mom tells me I can't have all the scoops I want. Sometimes I have lots of fun with my friends at school, and we get super excited. But it's not appropriate to act crazy in class, is it? No. So we use self-control to make smart choices. We can still have fun, but we do it in a way that is respectful to everyone else around us. My mom gets frustrated when I don't tidy up the toys in my room, even though she's asked me to. However, she uses self-control to help me learn instead of getting mad at me. Even though she's frustrated, she treats me with love and teaches me the importance of order and doing my duties. Wow, I love that word. Say it with me. Self-control, self-control, self-control. Another thing my dad taught me is to think before we act. Adults say some funny things. We achieve this by seeking solutions to problems with self-control. With self-control, we can keep the peace and to make anger go away. That has been one of the most important things we've discovered. But self-control is not easy. We still have a lot to learn about how we control rage and anger. And that's why we need our friend Curious. Curious? Where are you? Okay, we'll wait for Curious. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Here he is. Let's ask him. How can we control rage and anger? Rage and anger are common feelings which we all feel. But when we lose control of our feelings, we lose control of ourselves. We have tantrums, we raise our voices, and we destroy peace. We don't want that. Good news! I have some special secret tricks you can use to help you win this challenge and control your anger. You can practice these tricks whenever you feel anger coming on. Pretty soon, you'll be a master of self-control. The first trick when you feel angry is to count to 10. Just try it. Slowly count from 1 to 10. It doesn't sound like a big trick, but I promise you, by the time you get up to the number 10, you won't be nearly as angry as you were when you were at 1. Here's another super secret special trick. When you feel yourself getting angry, I want you to take a deep breath in and then a deep breath out. Do that 3 times. Again. Doesn't seem like much, does it? But it works. Once you become a master at self-control, you can teach your friends these super secret special tricks too. It is very important to help our family and friends learn to control their anger too. When you see a family member or friend acting peacefully, but you can see by their eyes and face that they are angry, give them a compliment. One that reaches their heart and will cheer them up. Tell them that they are amazing and give them a hug. In the classroom, whenever there's a situation where someone could get angry, but they practice self-control instead, Ms. Starr asks everyone to clap to reward them. You know what? Ms. Starr has to practice self-control too. Once, we made a lot of noise during class. But instead of blowing up with anger, Ms. Starr acted calmly and with lots of love. She asked us to stop. She was firm with her voice, but she was calm. And we listened. And then we all applauded her. Well, that's all we have time for today. We've had a lot of fun, and we've learned a lot about peace and harmony. And we've learned about the most important things we need to use to keep that peace and harmony. Patience, respect, compromise, self-control, and kindness. We always have a choice about how we're going to act. Let's practice and practice and practice to become masters, so we can help spread peace and harmony to everyone around us. Well, it's time to say goodbye, but don't be sad, because soon we'll be back in the best place in outer space.